Hi everyone, my name is Vasudha. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will be talking about 5 non-fiction books that I have read in the last few months. Each of them is from a different genre, so you are in for a treat. So let's dive in. First and foremost is the book by Glennon Doyle and it's called Untamed. Now this is a feminist account of her own life. So this is a memoir and this book is so powerfully written. Its writing style is so eloquent, so brilliant. I mean, I really wish I could write something like this. And the author has discussed her personal stories, personal anecdotes about her marriage, which was dysfunctional. And she was first married to a man and then she married a woman. So she talks about homophobia in her book. She also talks about some misogynistic conceptions that she was living with. She also talks about parenthood and she talks about many different issues in this book, including humanitarian crisis, including her own organization Together Rising, and she touches upon each one of them so beautifully. She discusses literally her whole life story and she pours her heart out about so many misgivings that she had in her life, all from a feminist perspective. And she has done a splendid job in bringing about all the societal issues that today we debate and we call controversial. So she talks about her religion. She talks about how she even finds religion as constraining and restraining her liberty in a lot of ways as a woman. So if you would like to read a first-hand feminist account, please grab this book. The next book is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now you probably must have heard of this book before, but if you haven't already, then do grab this one if you are looking how to change your habits. And this book is a definite guide. It's a definite, I would say, go-to book for changing old habits and bringing in new ones, because a lot of times we get demotivated when we do not see the desired results in our new habits that we would like to formulate. So this book shows us exactly why we should not give up. Even when we do not see any drastic change that's happening, we must not give up, because each and every effort that we are making towards our goal counts majorly, and we only expect very big results, and we live in an age of instant gratification. We want immediate results. We want instant likes on our Facebook post or instant hearts on our Instagram posts and so on. But this book shows that we need to be a little patient, because breaking old habits and forming new ones takes time. And it's not just that we are learning new habits or we want to make new habits, rather we are making a complete change in our lifestyle by changing one habit at a time. So obviously it's going to take some amount of time, and all our small efforts on a day-to-day basis actually come together. They accumulate. He talks about cumulative change, a compound effect. He says that each and every effort that we make towards our goals, towards acquiring new habits, is going to combine together and bring a big effect later on at some point in time. So we only need to keep working on, keep going on, and not give up on our goals. So if, for example, we want to lose weight, and if we give in to some temptations here and there, if we pick up a burger or a pizza, and we may think that we have been trying for so long to lose weight but we are not able to. But James Clear argues that every time we resist the temptation of picking up that one small burger, every time we do that, we are moving 1 inch closer to our goal. So it may not be visible, at that particular point in time, but later on it will all come together and we will see over a period of time that we have achieved our goal. This book also provides 4 different steps of reaching towards our goals, and it's done in a very systematic way. The book is written in a very logical and scientific way that it will appeal to you. And it's common sense. We may think that yes, forming new habits takes time, but we still find it so difficult to keep ourselves motivated to achieve our goal, because like I said, we want instant gratification, and this book is exactly what we need to read if we have given up on our goals anytime in our lives. So do grab this one. The next book is called This Is Where You Belong. It's by Melody Warnick. And if at any point in your life you have moved from your hometown to a new place, or if you are thinking of leaving your hometown, your home country, and planning to move somewhere else, then this is the book for you. So if you have any anxieties, any insecurities of leaving your own city where you have lived and spent your whole childhood and you have grown up there, and now you want to move to a different place for whatever reason it may be, this is the book which you can easily relate to. And here the author has talked about why we feel that uneasiness, that discomfort of moving away from our quote unquote roots, and why sometimes it's so difficult, painful even, for us to leave our home and move to another place and make it a new home. So she's tried to tap in all those anxieties, insecurities, and all of our emotional issues in this book when we change our cities, and how we feel different or alien or not able to fit into a new culture, especially if we are moving to a country which is culturally very different from our own. She also brings in a lot of statistics related to migration, especially the inter-country migration of the Americans, who are known to move at least 11 times within the USA. So those are very frequent moves if you see. But there are those who would like to stay close and connected to their families and who do not like to move at all, and who find comfort in their own hometown no matter what the different socio-economic political problems may be. So she talks about 3 different types of people: the movers, who are frequently moving, packing bags and calling movers and packers every now and then. Then she talks about the rooted people, those who like to stay connected in their own places, never want to move out of their city or even country. And then she talks about the third category, which is those of people who are stuck, which means basically that they want to remain connected with their hometowns and home countries. They do not wish to leave their families behind, but they have no choice in terms of economic opportunities. They want to explore the different aspects of living in a better society or a better country. And she also talks about the different ways in which once people who have moved, who have migrated, can try and feel the sense of belonging into a new place, how they can actually try and be a part of the local community. She talks about helping the local economy, knowing the people, taking part in local politics, and a list of measures which we can adopt in order to feel belonged in a new place. One thing that I didn't like about this book was its rather lengthy description of biking. Although the author was trying to explain that biking is a great way to explore the different areas of the new city, to get familiar with the old and new parts of the city that you move into, but I think the emphasis was rather too long and it may not even be relevant to most parts of the world where there are no dedicated biking spaces. But since the author was talking mainly from the American perspective, so that's why this biking concept gained a lot of mention in her book. Other than that, I think this book is a great delight even for geographers, urban planners, and economists. The next book is called Protest Kitchen by Carol Adams and Virginia Messina. Now, if you've ever wondered about the solutions to climate change or human rights, or if you've thought about feminism, then this book takes you to another level and connects all these issues with something which we might find extremely unconventional, and that solution is veganism. In this book, the authors have argued that feminism, animal rights, climate change, human rights are problems which can find a solution in our dietary changes. If we change our dietary preferences, then we can help in bringing down all these problems and challenges. So the issue of animal slaughter, exploitation, she even talks about the feminization of animal rights, and she talks about human rights, the protection of environment. All of those issues are actually linked to the way we consume our food, and this book frankly was an eye opener. It was a revelation for me because I never really connected these issues with veganism. And in this book, the authors have provided factual accounts of how animals are actually reared in the factory farms, what is their condition. Sometimes the beaks of the chickens are actually chopped off. Sometimes the calves of the cows are not allowed to drink the milk of their mother. They are completely removed from the cows, and even cows are forcibly impregnated to make sure that the factory farm owners get the supply of the animal milk on a continuous basis. So this book is so aptly titled as Protest Kitchen because as women especially who run the kitchen, who run the household, we can make these decisions for our families, that what comes on our table should not be at the cost of any animal's fundamental rights to live. If a calf is removed from its mother, the cow, then how will that calf survive? It's only something we have to guess. And same way, the condition of the pigs, how they are kept, and especially because in the West the consumption of beef and consumption of ham is much more than probably the rest of the world. That's why this book is contextually based in the US, but it also applies obviously to those people who eat meat, who are non-vegetarians in different parts of the world, whatever type of meat that they may consume. So just to satiate our taste buds and just for those kind of pleasures, what are we actually doing? To what extent are we going to satiate our taste buds? And can we give up on the dairy products? Can we include some non-dairy products in our diet? Can we switch cow's milk with that of plant-based milk? Can we go for alternatives like soya milk or almond milk or things like that? Can we switch paneer with tofu, or can we give up on butter and instead go for something like margarine, which is plant-based? So those kind of alternatives are also presented along with some 50 odd recipes which we can try, which will taste probably just as good as maybe non-vegetarian food. I don't know much about that, but the arguments which are presented in this book along with the facts, this book is very well researched and it is very factual. It's not some theory in the vacuum that they have floated. They are presenting the facts about the environmental destruction, about the conditions of the animals, and why all of this is happening. It also talks about the politics, it also talks about the economics behind this, about supporting beef and ham in Western countries, and why veganism is actually not allowed to go forward in the market because of the strong dairy lobby in most of these Western countries. So this book actually is a revelation. If you are open-minded enough, if you are looking for alternative food choices, then you must read this book to at least help you understand what are we consuming and where it is coming from. And lastly, and very different from the previous topics, is a book by Trini Sylvester. It's called Digital Detox. And if you have watched one of my previous videos, I have talked about digital minimalism, technological detox, and this book is also on similar lines, but this is published in 2020, in this year, so it has all the updated statistics. And in this book also, the author brings up the whole issue of technology overload, social media overload, and how it is actually hampering our life, and how it is actually creating an obstacle for us to lead any meaningful life. She talks about 3 P's in her book. One is presence, one is productivity, and the third is privacy. Now, in all of these, she says that the social media or the gadgets or technology is actually destroying all these 3 P's. Neither it is helping us to remain private in our lives, nor it is helping us to be productive in our lives, and it is also not helping us to be present in the moment, especially if we are talking to someone, we are still on the phone alongside. And how basically this social media or all these apps and gadgets are seeking for our attention 24/7. And in this book, a very interesting point that the author has raised is about digital detox as a self-help exercise, which implies that as if digital detox is a personal problem. When we talk about digital detox on an individual basis as a self-help exercise, what we are essentially saying is then that digital detox is required by only those people who have become addicted to it, and it's a very subjective matter. But the author points out that the government needs to regulate these websites, regulate these apps, especially the video games, and especially all these, addictive so-called apps, which are actually made in a way to seek our attention all the time. And there are so many repercussions of these addictive social media behavior, and the author is arguing that this should be actually regulated by the state. But we think that as if digital overload is our individual problem and we need to resolve it at our own level. So maybe for 1 hour we'll switch off our internet, or maybe for a few days we will not use Facebook. But this is a problem of the entire community of millions of smartphone users, and this issue needs to be taken into account by the governments, by the policy makers, and somewhere there needs to be some kind of restriction on these kind of apps which are making us literally over dependent and addictive. And why the governments are not regulating the social media, or why they are not regulating these app developers, is because of politics. And that's the subtitle of the book, The Politics of Disconnecting. Governments are not doing what they must be doing, and they are letting the individuals make their so-called free choices to use the phones, to use technology in whichever way they like. And this has serious repercussions on our physical health, on our mental health, and even the three P's that I just talked about. And it also brings out a lot of facts about the way in which Facebook, especially, and many other social media apps have come to control our lives. One very important concept that the author discusses in the book is of tech activism. And here she says that even though it may not be possible for us to completely get rid of technology and social media from our lives, but what we can do rather is to use technology for creating awareness about some political issues, social causes, and that way we can use these technologies and the platforms of social media, digital media, for activism purpose. And I think that is a great way to use technology, and also it fits very well in the context of the whole movement about time well spent. So you must read this book if you are looking for ways in which you can meaningfully use technology, and read it along with the other books that I had mentioned in one of my previous videos on digital detox. So those were my 5 non-fiction books that I have read in the recent past, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading all 5 of them. And after scrutinizing from my list of non-fiction books that I have read, I chose these 5 for you. And if you liked any of these books, then please give this video a thumbs up. If you have read any of these books before, or if you are interested in discussing about any of these topics in detail, then please write in the comment section below. Until next video, thank you and bye.